Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Mellow Mama, and today I'll be discussing sort of my tips and commentary on a respectful summer with your children. So everybody knows the summer is full of tons of activities and events that are amazing, like super duper fun and a great way to get your kids out of the house and expose them to new things and of course keep them around other kids. All that's super great, but I have brought my son, who's now 13 months old, he's little, to some of these events. It gets me thinking, as always, and I just wanted to kind of share my perspective on this stuff with you. So one big principle in respectful and objectivist parenting would be to avoid direction. We want our kids to be the screenwriter, the actor, the producer, the director in their own production of life. In all seriousness, our children will learn best and develop a great intrinsic sense of self when we just allow them to have autonomy in their own life. When we allow them to freely explore and make discoveries in their own way at their own time. When it comes to summer activities, it can be very easy to fall into this trap of directing your kids' attention. So for example, when I took my son to a puppet show yesterday, I really wanted him to look at the puppets and just sort of enjoy. But what's better is to just sort of allow my son to enjoy the new environment and follow his lead. So watch and observe him in this space and sort of see what he gravitates to. He did watch the puppet show for a certain amount of time, but then he decided he wanted to get up and explore the library, at which point I just sort of followed him around. And what was really interesting is that my mom came with me, and she was really inclined to sitting Donovan down to watch the puppet show, sitting him down. And I had to explain, look, why don't we just let him, direct his time here? Because, and this is going to be something that I repeat over and over again in this video, we're here for Donovan. We are not here for us to enjoy this puppet show. We brought him here to enjoy himself, and if that means that he would like to go and push back all of the books on every shelf in the library, then that's perfect. As long as he's getting some time to explore, some time to learn, some time to really just indulge in a new space and new faces and new things, then that's great. Then my job is done. That's the reason I plan to take him somewhere. That's the reason I took him somewhere. And that's what you really need to keep in mind over and over again, that you don't need to direct your kids' attention. You're there for them to learn and to discover, and they do that best without your influence. Something else I always like to mention when it comes to direction is to ask yourself a few questions. Whenever you go to interrupt your kids, to tell them, look, or look, check out what, the puppet guy's doing. Come on, sit here. First of all, how is that affecting your child's attention span? Really ask yourself that. Imagine yourself engrossed in a thought or in work, and somebody came in abruptly and told you, look at this, I want to show you this. It's kind of frustrating, as an adult person, I know, and it can't be good for our kids because we're literally interrupting their time of focus. The second question that I would ask would be, what thought or what discovery did I just interrupt? We might think that the puppet show is going to be the best thing for our kids to see in that moment, but really the best thing for them to see is whatever they're looking at and thinking about. You never know what kind of thought process you were just derailing. So observe more, do less, as always, like Magda Gerber says. And the third question I would ask myself in this time where I want to say, look, would be, am I here for me or my son? And I already touched on that, but I've got to repeat it. Remember, you're there for your kids. If you think the most interesting thing in the room is the puppet show, then that's great. That's fine. But your kids don't have to agree with that. Your kids are supposed to enjoy their time, make their own discoveries. If you took them to the puppet show and they enjoy it, perfect. That's amazing. However, they don't have to. You're there for them. Remember that you're there for them. So follow their interests, follow their lead, listen to them, observe them. My next tip, aside from direction, would be to give space. In the case that your kids are in a place where they can sort of wander and create, this is the best time for them to learn and discover. And I see very often parents sort of like helicoptering their kids, standing really, really close, and their kids will take 2 steps, they take 1 step. 2 steps, 1 step. I know, especially when you have a 1-year-old, Donovan he's really moving and grooving. So it's easy to feel like I need to watch his every move in case he falls or trips on something or gets a hold of something. But it's also very easy to help him in a moment like that. So don't overreact. Give your children space. Let them absorb their environment and explore their environment in their own time and in their own way. And do that by kind of just keeping it a safe distance. And on that same note, I touched on this in a story recently on Instagram, but giving your children space does not mean that they're at risk for anything. But in the case that, you feel like a little bit uneasy or on edge about where they are, what they're doing, pay attention to the way that you react to things, pay attention to the way that you speak to your kids, pay attention to, just your general tone and the way that you're communicating, because they're interpreting everything as sort of their reality, their sense of normal. And so you don't want to, be over the top. You need to keep a sort of level head and ask yourself in these times, is my child really at risk? Is this really an emergency? Before, once again, interrupting them or bombarding them with some sort of big response. The next tip for a respectful summer would be to avoid behaviorism, and this is obviously a key component of my parenting philosophy. No reward and punishment system. Please avoid bribery, manipulation, force. These things are only going to harm your parent-child relationship. This is not respectful, and in general, what you have to keep in mind is that you are there, whatever you're doing at whatever event or activity, for your kids. I know, I've touched on this a couple of times, but I've just got to drill it into your head. You are there for them. So if your kids are, let's say, at the library and having a strong response to something, an emotional response to something, like the same puppet show, I saw a little girl was very scared of the Wizard of Oz story, which I relate to, and her mom sort of like made her stay there because she had other siblings. And I thought to myself that in this scenario, I would have to be very, very attentive to my child that was in literal distress over the situation, and avoid these behaviorist tactics. But this mom in particular, I noticed that she did use bribery. If we stay for, your sisters, then we'll get ice cream afterward. And that's sort of just ignoring the actual problem, that she was afraid. What would really need to happen there is just honest, open communication. I see that you're scared. I'm here. This is a story. Really explaining to her that that it's okay to be afraid, but there's nothing to fear, and that her comfort was available, and that there could be the option to leave. I think in general, when there's fear involved, that the other children should also be communicated with that sort of takes precedence. Nobody should have to stay in a circumstance of fear. I know it sounds funny and maybe a little bit dramatic, but it's true. You shouldn't be conditioned to have to just put up with being scared for the enjoyment of other people. That's not a good principle to live by, especially at a young age. But in other circumstances, just in general, maybe having a tantrum, as people would call it, or a fit, understand that you need to listen to your kids in these times more than ever. This is an opportunity for you to communicate and understand where your kids are coming from. And once again, you're there for them, not for yourself. So feel open to the idea of just leaving. If they're not comfortable there or they need to leave, then just go. It shouldn't be a big dramatic scene. You're there for your kids anyhow. So if they're not having the best time, or they're just uncomfortable, maybe they need a meal or a nap, which I'll get to that in a second. Feel okay that, you know, you left this event or activity and your kids are going to be better off. You don't need to constantly entertain them and stuff, especially if it's costing you a peaceful relationship. So please avoid punishments, rewards, you know, just all of these gross behaviors, tactics. If your kids are having a great time, great. If they're not, please be respectful, listen to them, observe their needs, and take them to heart. A book that I really recommend reading is How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. That's a really great book if you're looking for how to better communicate with your kids at any age. Something else I'd like to touch on is overstimulation. It's very easy to feel the need to entertain your kids, and there's lots of things on Pinterest, like every popsicle stick in this jar is for a different activity in the summer, and the thing is, your kids are always learning, they're always absorbing, and it can be a little bit overwhelming to schedule something new every single day. Keep in mind that you don't have to teach, really. You don't have to entertain. Your kids sort of do that naturally if you give them the space and the freedom to do so. Exposure is great to all these new things and events and activities, and new places are great, new faces are great, but keep in mind that your kids love more than anything consistency, especially when they're much younger. To interrupt common meal times and nap times in order to get in as many events and cool activities as possible is not the most respectful choice. Keep in mind that your kids, you know, well-being takes precedence over entertaining them. They don't need as much of this stuff as you really think they do in their own environment. If they have an independent play space, and in general, if they can just be in nature, oh my gosh, they're learning so much every second. So if you can't you know, get them to the puppet show or to the polka thing, one activity every single day or something like that, do not stress out. Your kids are going to be so appreciative that you've kept them in their routine so that they can anticipate what's coming next, that they are going to go out at this time, and they're going to be able to nap at this time or eat at this time. But yeah, just try not to overschedule, and definitely be respectful of those basic needs like eating and sleeping. Never wake a baby to go to an event, or you know, interrupt a meal time to go to some sort of activity. That's no bueno. And speaking of independent play, respect your kids' needs for some peace and quiet. It's so important for, I think, everybody to have just a low-key time of day where we can just be engrossed in whatever it is that we're interested in at the time. For me, it'd be reading or meditating or working on one of these videos, or editing, you know, portraits for someone. In general, everybody needs that time, that quiet time to just decompress. And if you're scheduling something every single second of every single day, your kids are not going to have that normal laid back time. So just understand that everybody appreciates that time to wind down, to relax, to think, and to ponder things, to just sort of like be in a state of wonder, I guess. And that's really beautiful, especially for young people, children. So respect that and avoid crossing that boundary where that time doesn't exist anymore. Lastly, as always, I want to talk about you as the mama or the papa. I just want to say that, like I mentioned before with the popsicle sticks, it's very easy to think that you're doing a bad job as a parent. It's very easy to think that you could be doing more, you could be offering your kids more, they could be exploring more or being exposed to more. And I hope that some of the things that I've talked about and mentioned today help you realize that you really, the less is more approach is truly better. It's great, and it's going to allow your kids, like I said, autonomy, independence, and general enjoyment in their life. Is going to lead them to actually have an understanding of who they really are and what their interests are and who they want to be. So don't get stressed out thinking that, you know, you need to do more. Just be a better observer, and especially in the case of when you are doing all this stuff, keep taking care of yourself. Just like I said, don't interrupt your kids' basic needs like eating and sleeping to go to these events. Make sure that you're eating proper meals, getting rest at nighttime. In general, just if you're not feeling up to it, you know, you're exhausted from whatever, work or just being a parent, don't feel obligated to go somewhere or do something. Your kids will appreciate, like I said, the quiet time, the peaceful time, their routine, being at home. So don't stress out, don't give yourself a hard time. You're doing great. And yeah, I just always want you guys to consider that and understand that you don't need to compare yourself to other parents or people on Instagram, you know, like a blogger mom or something like that, because they're having an equally difficult time. That's just probably their job, to display having a good time with their kids or being a great mom. So please avoid giving yourself a hard time at all costs, because a happy parent is the best parent. I hope you guys have a great day and that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys on the next one.